Reminder that Dominicans are not Black. We are not Black, and no matter how much Black Americans cry about it, we are not Black. We will never be Black. Yes, I look Black, but we are not Black. And it's just a reminder to Black Americans who are so pathetically forcing Dominicans to label themselves as Black. We keep telling them we have our own culture. Me no Black, papi. They still force it on us. So just a reminder, Dominicans are not Black. Period.
No me importa el color.
No, pero tu color es trigueña.
Mi color es trigueña. Yo soy trigueña, no soy ni blanca ni morena. Trigueña.
Who's Black? Am I Black? My mom is white, so that makes me half Black? Well, what if I was a quarter Black? Am I still Black? That means my grandmother would be Black. Well, what if I was an eighth? So my great-grandmother is Black? Does that make me still Black? What if I had blonde hair and blue eyes? Would I be white? Or could I be Black? And what if my skin was Black? That makes me Black, right? If my skin was really Black, then I'm Black? So what makes Dominicans Black?
I know Black, I know Black, I know Black. Impossible, I know Black. I'm Dominican, I'm Puerto Rican, I know Black. Be looking.
Here's your drink, sir. Enjoy it.
Ooh, damn. You are a beautiful Black woman.
Black? I'm not Black. I'm Dominican, papi.
The United States invented the concept of the one-drop rule, and it is American as apple pie, and it only applies to Black Americans. It is only found in the USA and no other nation in the world. Our unique relationship with slavery and Jim Crow have brainwashed us into this only truly American cultural definition.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived.
So should we define other nations as Black just because America defines us as Black? So what are Dominicans?
How Black are Dominicans? You might be shocked by the answer. The Dominican Republic is located on Hispaniola in the Caribbean, sharing the island with the country of Haiti. However, these two countries have a vastly different genetic makeup. While Haitians are almost exclusively descended from African slaves, the heritage of Dominicans is more complex. A genetic study published in 2015 revealed that the average Dominican is 52% European, with the remaining ancestry being predominantly sub-Saharan African at 40% and 8% Native American, mostly of indigenous Taino origin. As a result, 70% of Dominicans identify as mixed. Around half of the remaining 30% identify as Black, with the other half identifying as white. While some African Americans might mock Dominicans for not identifying as Black, it seems to make sense from a genetic standpoint, as the majority of them have as much, if not more, European ancestry.
What makes somebody Black? Is it your hair texture, the width of your nose, color of your skin? Because all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And I want you to notice a theme when we're here. Most of the time, someone that or Dominican or Latino that was born outside of the country and lives outside of the country, they will always say they are not Black. They'll say their skin color, moreno, things like that. The people who have come to the United States, the Latinos and Dominicans that have come to the United States, yes, they will say they're Black. That is because how America categorizes them. You're either, what does this say on the census? You're non-Hispanic Black. It makes you choose that. And other people, white or whomever, that's how they view anyone with dark skin. They view them as, you're Black.
A lot of Dominicans will say they're not Black. It's obviously a lack of education and anti-Blackness.
No, I'm Latino, I'm this, I'm not Black, right? I don't want to be seen as those people.
Whiteness guarantees safety, right? When you think about the Dominican Republic, it's a negotiation between a lot of different regions, from Haiti to the United States to Europe. Its identity has been molded by white supremacy.
What's a Latin person, right? that's one of my first responses. If you look at how anti-Blackness forms in Mexico, it's very different from how it forms in DR. It's very different from Argentina. Jeez, let me not get into Argentina. And in Brazil and in Colombia. Colombia is like the wildest, like separated place all over. Like people think of Colombians and think of J Balvin, and it's like what? Like there's tons of indigenous groups in Colombia.
Imagine someone from India coming to the United States saying, "Hey, brother, you're Indian." No, I'm black. No, you're Indian. You get the same skin color, same hair, same everything. We're the same complexion. You're Indian. We would think that was asinine, but we do it to everyone in other countries all the time.
Dímelo, cabrón, ¿qué necesitas? Oh, I'm sorry, I don't speak any Spanish. Sorry, porque you look just like my cousin, that's why I'm speaking to you in Spanish. What do you want? Can I try the mofongo? Un mofongo, porfa. And what is your name for the order? Oh, my name is Carlos. Carlos? That's my name. This is the first time I see a black Carlos. What? I never seen a black Carlos before. You just said your name was Carlos. Sí, pero I'm Boricua, I'm not black. Listen, brother, you might have a little bit more seasoning to you, but if I'm black, then you black and mild. Esto está cabrón. No sé nada de lo que está hablando. Mira, yo soy boricua por siempre, and you black, you can keep that one. You might be Puerto Rican, but you black as Coke Zero, brother. Okay, here's your order, Señor Bicho. What does that mean? Señor Bicho, that's like, you're my brother, porque, we're black. Nice, we both learned this stuff today. Sí, es muy bueno. Okay, mama huevazo. Mama huevazo indeed.
I don't really outwardly identify myself as anything anymore. I let people identify me now. I'm just kind of like, dude, I really don't know at this point. Everything is viewed through the lens of American identity politics and the language of that. And then in other places around the world, these conversations are very limited and underdeveloped because of where they are in their own history. So then it's not like you have like a different language or a different framework to like replace the conversation with. You're constantly having to mediate it through like the American like language, when in reality it doesn't fit in because it's a very different history. And every island has its own, every region has its own different history and relation to color, to texture, to hair. And it's a lot more complicated than people realize.
You being of a higher class is parallel very much with like the idea of you being farther from blackness. It's not it's not wearing Jordans, it's not wearing chains, it's not listening to this kind of music, it's not talking this kind of way. And that's all aside from like, it's not your phenotype as a person racially, or it's not like, where you come from, things like that. It's very much a thing of like, blackness is like a construct socially that represents a type of low class that people will be very discriminatory to. A lot of Dominicans are very cool with being black, but they're not cool with being Haitian. They're very cool with being black in a way that's cool in New York and that's cool in Miami and Cali. They'll be very cool with Snoop Dogg, and they'll be very cool with like a lot of hip hop movements. It doesn't threaten them. It doesn't signify anything too crazy to them because it's detached.
You're black, not Latina. Imagine thinking you did your big one by saying that to me. You're saying that to someone que está orgullosa de ser colombiana, dominicana, y morena. Look, I'm a firm believer that you gotta leave ignorant people where you found them, but let me educate you a little bit, just a little bit, okay? And people still do not know the difference between race and ethnicity. Ethnically, mi mamá, que de Colombia, mi papá, que era dominicano, makes me Latina. Spanish was my first language. Racially, I'm a woman of color, I'm melanated. Okay?
Now let's discuss this a little bit, because I find that with African Americans, I have to explain this term a lot. So the short answer is this: Afro-Latinos belong to both groups. They're both black and Latinos, since black is a race and Latinos an ethnicity. All right, they're the people of African descent in Mexico, Central and South America, and the Spanish-speaking Caribbean, as well as Brazil and Haiti. And by extension, those of African descent in the United States whose origins are in Latin America and the Caribbean, like...
Why it's so hard for y'all to believe I'm from Colombia? I get that you don't see the people like me on TV shows from Colombia, but you can clearly hear my accent, like...
Do you know what makes me laugh? You guys are always like, what do you identify as? Do you not hear that? I'm literally Mexican. Soy mexicana.
I would have never guessed. Oh, I would have said she black.
Let me break something down. When white people and black people would have a child back in the day, they would call it a mulatto. That is a racist term, and I'm going to explain why. It means the combination of a horse and a donkey, because mulatto is mula for mule. The combination of a horse and a donkey creates a mule, but a mule is born impotent. In other words, it can have no children. In other words, no good can come from the unification of black and white. And anyone that goes to film school can know that this is then seen in the theme of the tragic Negro in all of classical Hollywood cinema. What we have to recognize is that term also exists for our people. It's called mestizo, right? And we have way too many white mestizos that identify more with Spain and Spaniardness than they ever do with the actual brown that makes them any part of what they are. If you didn't have that in there, then you would look like the people from Spain who are blonde, blue-eyed, walking around like that. I think the recognition of this and the understanding that there is a path for so-called Latino people to whiteness that doesn't exist for black people.
Oh, this is where I disagree. Black people are always trying to get away from their blackness. When I was growing up, to call somebody African was fighting words. You'd be like, you an African booty snatcher. Boy, it was time to fight. How do we call ourselves to get away from our blackness? Color, light skin, high yellow, red bone, coffee complected, peanut butter beige. Oh girl, look at your hair. She got that good hair. Black girls are wearing blonde weaves. Anything to do that they can get away from their blackness, the texture of their hair, the way that they look. So we do it too. We just don't like to call it out amongst ourselves.
I'll explain why. Because if you open the casta system, if a mestizo marries then a white person, they create what they call a castizo, right? A castizo then marries a white person and there's less than 1/16 of indigenous blood. That person is considered white by law in the 1600s, 1700s, and 1800s in Latin America.
Say that one more time.
I'm telling you, if a castizo marries a white person or married a white person, and now I'm gonna get the fools that say, oh, this is ancient history. Well, it's not, because in Latin America, Barack Obama and someone of that color is not considered black. You can ask my Dominican friends. They'll say, oh no, he's trigueño. Oh, he's un indio oscuro. Right, because you want to be anything but the lowest thing on the casta system, which is an indio or a black person. And the reality is that keeping those two individuals fighting each other is the only way that Europeans gain supremacy in the New World. Without that, they wouldn't have it.
Peace. Meet Tyler. How do I know that her name is Tyler? Because
hey, it's Tyler.
That's how she self-identifies. Among many other wonderful things, Tyler is a South African colored woman. Not black, not biracial, colored. That's colored in South Africa and colored here in the United States, despite the fact that many Black Americans don't want to call Tyler colored because of our own negative association with the term colored during segregation. But you see, South Africa had their own segregation called Apartheid. Apartheid was a white supremacist power structure. And in the context of white hegemony, there are certain social privileges that come along with proximity to whiteness. While colored South Africans are generationally mixed, one can be colored in South Africa without being the child of an interracial couple. So you see, if Tyler were to kowtow to the sensibilities of Black Americans and refer to herself around the world as a Black woman, she would run the risk of offending Black South Africans who know and have experienced the difference between being Black and colored in South Africa. Remember that race itself is a social construct, and there are many societies around the world. Are Dominicans Black? Are Panamanians Black? Are Indigenous Australians Black? Are Somalians Black? Or Egyptians? Or Eritreans? Seychellois Black? These are all questions that are often debated, but the answer all depends on which colonial context you subscribe to. Because ironically, you know who's not Black? Black people, because it was Dwight Mann who invented race in the first place and quite literally branded us these labels. Relax and remember, we all we got. We out here.
Reminder that
we have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived.
This thing still on? Hey. Well, if you stayed around this long, you better have hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe so you can get some more thought-provoking content like this, and hit that notification bell so you know exactly when I'm on again. Stay fearless.